the theme of 23 is 2023, the year of planning and stewardship. And what does that mean? So what that means is we are re-looking at some of our programming and a couple new big projects. And so we're really taking 23 to be kind of an internal year with our staff board, and of course you all, our volunteers, really looking at what do our educational initiatives look like? What does stewardship, meaning getting out into the community and of course raising funds, look like in 23 and involving the board, the staff, and also all of you volunteers? What does it look like reopening the house? Because we don't have the entire house open. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. And I'm sure through, the water cooler conversations and so forth, you've heard a little bit about our DEIA efforts, which are diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And I want to talk a little bit about that and how the volunteers can get involved with that process as well. So to start off, one of the goals is to open the 2 storerooms in the upper floor of the house in 23. We haven't established a concrete plan of what that looks like, but that is one of the main goals, is to have the entire house open in 23 and hopefully earlier than later. If you recall, when we had to close for COVID, we opened the grounds in June of 2020, and then we slowly opened up parts of the house with the new tour circuit and so forth. So hopefully, Laura, Megan, and I have been talking about it and getting Carlos involved. So hopefully in the first half of the year, being able to reopen those 2 storerooms and the 2nd floor. May mean some reinterpretation and maybe some training for some of our newer docents and definitely our public hour volunteers as to what that looks like. That involves some cleaning of artifacts in rooms up there that have been closed for quite some time. But that really is one of the goals for 23. Again, we just don't have the definite plan. So I don't want to give you a date and say, hey, Alison said it was going to be open by March and it's still not. So I'd like to say, and Laura can give me a thumbs up if you think it's realistic to have it open in the first half of the year. So that's what we're looking at. And so well, Megan, I got a thumbs up from Megan. I'm not sure I got one from Laura. Okay, there's Laura. All right, and Carlos, what do we do? Thumbs up. Okay, we're going to do it. So opening up these rooms in the first half of 23. That's one of the big goals. And I know everyone's been waiting for that to happen. So we are going to make that happen. What's going on with looking back to advance forward? The project continues on. I am very happy to say the cistern is full. And with this past rain, we have videos of it. We have seen it flowing into the arroyo. If you stand outside the visitor center, you'll see this long green tube that goes to the natural basin in the arroyo. It's going into the arroyo. So the cistern works. It's not to say that the project is absolutely seamless. We have had some issues and we've had some asphalt that hadn't been perfectly stabilized. It's sinking a little bit. So Griffith will be back on site to fix those issues. Had a small issue with the pavers. And unfortunately, we did have an issue this past weekend with the visitor center. So yeah, sewage backup. Laura moves quickly and Alfred has been fantastic. So I'm not going to say it's perfect. I will say though, these are challenging opportunities that I'm glad we're having now, because if we had cut Griffith loose and these things started to happen, there wouldn't be a whole lot of recourse, but their contract is still with us. And so they're working on all of these issues. I am happy to say that the main gates work again. The pedestrian gate can open and close. And if you don't have that gate code, see Laura to get the gate code so you can get in and out of the gates, but they now do work. So that is very exciting. We're also looking at maybe putting a keypad on the inside of the gates. So for some reason, something happens, you can always get out with a gate code. So definitely some development there, but it is working. And I'm not going to steal Megan's thunder because she's going to talk about some of that environmental curriculum a little bit later on. but that's also in the plans for 23. The other big construction project is our fire detection and suppression project. For those that don't know, is we hired a specialist in fire detection and suppression, Nick Artem. He has worked at historical sites literally around the world, developing very intricate systems that work with historical sites. He's worked with Adobe, and he's developed a whole design for how we can have fire detection and suppression in the historic Adobe. We won't be using sprinkler systems. We'll be using a fine mist system. We'll also have a system in the cottage that is much more traditional, and same with the visitor center. So we have those plans. We have one bid in from a bidder. We're looking for a second one. We're super excited to hear from the city of Long Beach that they gave each rancho $600,000 to be able to install these systems. So we're doing it, and our sister rancho, Rancho Los Alamitos, is also doing it. So we're doing this in conjunction together. So we're waiting on those bids, and then we'll have more of a better construction schedule to share with you. But that is coming along. So those are the two big construction projects. There's other small ones. We're waiting to see if we can get some funding from the Navy Trust to repair the upstairs outside veranda, which has some few minor issues. These really are the two big ones. Looking back to Advance Forward, took up most of this past year, and now we're moving to complete the 3 phases of that. Phases 1 and 2 are what's happening on site. Phase 3 is the lower parking lot. We're still developing the designs for that, so that is in works. But those two projects move forward pretty well. One of the other big things is really making stewardship a focus this year. So really, how do we cultivate our communities and our audiences to feel welcome at the rancho? How do we encourage more donations from individuals, and also looking at corporations and foundations? How do we expand that fundraising and getting it going? So you'll be hearing more about stewardship. We do want to put together some volunteer focus groups to help us with that. So if you have an interest, please shoot Ray and I an email, and I can talk more one-on-one about what that looks like. We really are looking to get volunteer interest, and how do we increase stewardship across the site. And the last big one, and it is a big one, is our efforts for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Why is that important? As we very relevant site, we want to continue to be relevant to our communities and our constituencies. We want to make sure that we're resilient, that we're meeting the needs of our community, and that we're being resourceful, that we're putting together exhibits, programs, programming, making sure our public tours, our living history tours, make sure that people feel very welcome when they come to the site, that they feel included, and that the site is accessible to everyone that wants to come. We have done a lot of this, most of this work internally. We have a small staff committee that has a representative from each of our departments. So education's involved, curatorial, facilities and maintenance, administration, and education. We have a larger committee that has 3 board members on it. And we used to have 2 volunteers on the committee. We're now down to 1. So we are looking for more volunteer commitment to help us with our DEIA initiative. So if you would like to be involved in that work, again, please let Laura and I know, and I can talk with you one-on-one about what that commitment looks like. At the very least, we do meet once a month for an hour and a half to talk about the work we've done so far, which you heard a little bit earlier when Megan was reading our land acknowledgement statement. But we've done a lot more than that. We have a land acknowledgement statement. We have a diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility statement along with our values. And we do have a plan in place where we're really creating prioritized objectives with action steps for how we get the word out about the work that we are doing. We're also going to be doing more training with the staff. We'll be doing training with the board. And then the goal also is to start really talking interactively with volunteers about how volunteers think we can increase our diversity in terms of our staff, our volunteer corps, our board members, how we can get more diverse communities onto the site so that they feel comfortable coming to the site and really experiencing the site. And then one of the first programs that we're evaluating with our DEIA lens, as we will every single program that comes through, is really going to begin to look at garden docent training. Is that training really embracing diverse audiences? Is it accessible to all? Is it inclusive? And is it equitable? And then we'll then look at house docent training, all of our programming. Carlos has already started that work with our exhibits. So really expanding this work and getting you, our volunteers, really our first interactors with the public, really knowing what we're doing. And I've seen it happening too. When I've seen our house tours adjust, we're talking more about the indigenous people that were there. People are reading the land acknowledgement statement. We're talking about the tenant period. So the work's already happening, but really the goal with this year of planning and stewardship is to make it really publicly known that we're doing this work and to share it with our communities. So we're super excited about that work. We hope you guys are too. And I'm going to turn it over to Carlos now, but I'll come back in a bit and ask for any questions that you guys may all have. So Carlos, to you.
Thank you so much, Alison. I hope you're all doing well today. I'm very excited to bring you 3 curatorial updates, and let me share my screen for that. Let's see. All right. And let me go ahead. All right. Can you see my screen? Give me 1 second. I always have some challenge when doing this, since this screen is partially blocked. Okay, let's see. All right. So the first update that I want to bring to you, all of you, is that we're having we are going to have a new exhibition at Rancho. It's going to be called Rancho Los Cerritos Then and Now. The exhibition is about photography. So through photographs, both historical and contemporary, the exhibition Rancho Los Cerritos Then and Now explores the growth and evolution of Rancho Los Cerritos from its early days as a sheep ranch to today as a national, state, and local historic landmark. The historical photos will come predominantly from the Rancho's archives, as well as other institutions. The contemporary photographs will be drawn from the work of local professional photographers. And these photographs will be, the photographers will be invited to take photos at the site of a rancho, as well as the areas and cities that were previously part of the rancho. So the goal of the exhibition is really to utilize photography to compare and contrast over time the lives of the people connected with the rancho and the relationship to nature, land, and each other. So, and some of the topics that we'll be covering through the exhibition relate to nature, gardens and landscape, water conservation, people, and also technology. So the idea is to invite 5 photographers from the community to come to a rancho and photograph themes that relate to these subject matters and compare them with historical photographs in the past. The exhibition is scheduled to open in June 25th, and this is not the last time you will be hearing about this exhibition. I will give you more updates as we move forward. So that's the first update. The second one is that curatorial work days are back. Previous curators had done these intense curatorial work days that usually last 2 or 3 hours. Many of you, the majority of you, are familiar with them. This is the first time that they will take place under my supervision, and the idea is to work on those projects that relate to curatorial, that are more time-consuming and also task-specific, things that require more people. The idea of the curatorial workdays is also to give you a one-on-one, a more intimate approach to what curatorial and collections are working on. It's supposed to be a social gathering where in this first one will take place on Wednesday, February 8th. And what I would like to do is cordially invite you. We will have some pastries, tea, and I would like to give you training, very short training on how to handle historic artifacts in case that you ever help the curatorial department, or in case of an emergency, if something needs to ever be moved. Melinda Howell, who is another of my curatorial interns, and I will just showing you how to do it properly, and we'll be able to create different groups for you to also move those artifacts. We'll also cover data loggers, since there are small devices that measure humidity and temperature, and we'll be working on those as well in future curatorial workdays. And lastly, just plan with you the different tasks that we'll be completing in the historic rooms, each of the future curatorial workdays. So please come over. It should last no more than 2 hours for the first curatorial workday, and then we'll be having the second curatorial workday 2 weeks after the first one, and after that it will be every other month. If you have questions, you can also reach out to Laura or directly to me, to my email address, or just stopping by at my office. And that's my second curatorial update. Moving forward to the third one, wanted to let you know that as part of the Roots in California Concepts of Home exhibition, we will be having the last lecture of the lecture series. This will be a panel discussion. The date will be February 26th at 2:30 p.m. in the Rancho backyard. And the title of the lecture is Stewards of the Land. And it will be a panel discussion where we're going to be meeting with different community members, and including Alison, where we will be exploring. It will be about the history of the land on which Rancho Los Cerritos sits, and the panelists will discuss and reflect on the history of stewardship, the displacement, genocide, colonial ownership, and state ownership. And the conversation will focus on how these changes to the land have impacted and continue to impact the concept of home for many who have lived and worked on the site. So it should be a very interesting lecture. I believe this is the most interesting of all of them so far. It will be recorded in case you can't make it, but I definitely encourage you to come over, since there will be also plenty of time for questions and answers, a Q&A, and it will be wonderful to count on your support. And also hear your point of view as well, since you are people who worked at this site along us. So this will be exciting. And that's it. This concludes my curatorial update. If you have further questions, let me know. And let me stop sharing the screen. Here we go.
Thank you, Carlos. I am up next, and I have the pleasure of telling you all a bit about what is happening with the curriculum for young children that come to the Rancho. As you know, we had a very vibrant program prior to the pandemic, and we have been welcoming children to come back to this site, but not as formal education programs since then, at least not in person. So when the pandemic closed the site in March of 2020, our Long Ago Long Beach outreach program, our ADR or Adobe Days Revisited field trips, and so forth were all put on hiatus. Well, those are rolling back. Some of you came to our program this summer where we had a sing-along. And so that is artful storytelling, and it's part of the Long Ago Long Beach family. I want to share very quickly the intro song, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it.
I want to tell you a story. I want to sing you a song. Tell you a rancho story. Long, long ago. Bring your imagination. Put on a happy smile. Gather around, amigo. Sing a song, sing along. Con el corazón. Welcome to Rancho Los Cerritos and your artful storytelling adventure.
So that's the introduction song. What we figured out is that at this point, we're actually able to go back into the classrooms live or the after school organizations, and we'll be able to provide a storytelling curriculum for third graders. I mean, we'll include second graders and fourth graders if they would like, but primarily for third graders who are working with their English language arts standards and historical social science standards, so that we're going to share a storytelling curriculum in person, have a college student or otherwise an education outreach person delivering the curriculum, but they're going to be able to use some of what we filmed while they're there live in person. So the introductory song is just emblematic of the quality of the project, but we will have our two storytellers who are telling a bilingual story in English and Spanish each week. And the students will learn how to do a storyboard based on that story. They'll play some storytelling games, and then they'll get to hear a song by the same two storytellers who are actually, one is a musician songwriter and the other is a very talented singer. So bilingual storytelling program. And then periodically, every 5 weeks or so, the children that have finished a recent series of workshops, it's a 5-part series of workshops, will come to the Rancho on a Saturday for a storytelling day. We've had a few of those artful storytelling days as we sort of do a low-key pilot to make sure that the activities we have appeal to the age group, but we want to be ready to hit the ground running as soon as our first outreach educators go into the classroom. We are currently accepting applications for those. So if you know someone who might want to become an outreach educator for us for the spring semester, I'm going to have Laura distribute that position description to everyone, because I don't know who you know, but we are certainly looking for people interested in storytelling who can share the curriculum and then share the videos that we have filmed. That's one of our education programs coming this year. A second one coming back to a rancho near you is Adobe Days Revisited, but we have a bit of work to do to upgrade the curriculum from what it was created back in the 80s. It was updated in about 20 years later in the 2000s, and 20 years later, it's about time to do so again. So we have secured grant money, and we are recruiting a team of professional teachers, teacher education professionals, and others interested in this type of project to help us reimagine Adobe Days Revisited, our flagship program, as you'll all agree. We're going to be reimagining it this winter and spring. We'll be redoing the docent manual over the summer. Early in the fall, we'll be training or retraining those who have participated in the past and would like to continue. And then probably by late in October, November, December, we'll be piloting this program and then having the full-blown program in early 2024 ready to go. So we're excited about this. We have, as I said, some wonderful support, financial support from foundations in the community and from teachers and teaching education professionals in the Long Beach area. So we are in the process of making that reimagining project come to fruition, and more coming soon, to steal the line that Carlos used. But we're really excited about bringing ADR back in a better and more innovative, more just new and improved, basically, but respecting the 3 R's that Alison talked about before. Finally, brand new curriculum. We are going to start next summer to work on some environmental water-themed educational curriculum. This is something that is long overdue at the Rancho, but becomes very, very timely with the culmination of the Looking Back to Advance Forward water recapture program. So we want to look backwards and forwards. How did people deal with water issues in the past, since water is, of course, essential for human life? How did people deal with it in the past? How do we deal with it today? What innovative ways can children and the community think of and explore to really embrace the new technologies that will lead us into the future? This is not an issue that'll be going away, but we're real excited to be focusing more on the environment, the landscape, and the design and use of saving water. We will be only just planning starting next summer. We have some wonderful funding again from the foundations in the community, and we are looking for more money, but we're looking for a year of planning starting next summer, going into the fall, and then debuting the curriculum sometime in late 2024. So 3 different curricula: the Artful Storytelling, Adobe Days Revisited, and environmental themed programming. We are expanding the grade levels that we serve. We already have long served 4th grade. The Artful Storytelling is 3rd grade and a little beyond. And then our environmental curriculum will move to grade levels even beyond that. So lots is happening in education and curriculum design, development, and ultimately implementation. I'm going to turn it over from here to Lauren Simpson, who is our marketing consultant.
Thank you, Megan. Give me a couple of seconds, everyone. Please excuse me for not having my video on. My internet seems to be a little wonky, so I didn't want to risk not, I don't know. Oh, here we go. I didn't want to risk my internet completely going out and then you all not being able to hear me. But here's my face. Again, good evening. Thank you so much for allowing me to join you all. My name is Lauren Simpson. In a nutshell, I have my both my company bio as well as my professional bio up on the screen. But again, back to that nutshell. Born and raised in Long Beach, California. Literally born and raised. So my schooling was all throughout LBUSD. I graduated from Wilson. I did go away to college, and when I came back, I dove into the marketing field. Initially, I started in digital marketing. My career has spanned industries such as entertainment, the public and private sectors, and lastly with tourism. And so after I left tourism, I figured, why not start a company on my own? I have all this knowledge. Let's just do it, Lauren. And so fast forward, I was able to partner with the Rancho, and I am excited to share with you a few of the things we've been working on. And so here's our marketing plan. largest mission was to create a cohesive environment. So we want to be sure that all of our branding, our messaging, there's cohesion there, so that when anyone sees anything or hears anything from the Rancho, they know it's one unified voice. Let's dive in. So let's start with the objective. The objective of the marketing plan is what you see on the screen. It's to build up RLC strategic master plan to develop a comprehensive marketing strategy that supports its 4 pillars and objectives for 23. And you'll also notice that as we dive into this plan, the purpose of it was to identify high impact marketing activities that can be launched to support, again, the strategic master plan's goals and objectives, as well as define a PR strategy and initiatives, community engagement, organic social media. And finally, we worked on a budget implementation, and then of course, a way to measure success. There we go. Again, this entire marketing plan, all of my work is built or based in the 4 pillars. So you'll see that throughout, just to preface the remaining of this presentation. So as it relates to stewardship, we're looking to form and strengthen strategic. You will hear the word strategic maybe a million times tonight, so just brace yourselves. Strategic partnerships with other agencies, institutions, and organizations. We're looking to develop a communication and outreach plan. And you'll see key elements of that to the left. You'll see those icons that read audience, messaging, channels. We're going to launch, of course, a content calendar. We're measuring our success, and then campaign development. The who. So when we're talking about messaging, who is it that we're speaking to? I've got a list of community. Again, what you see in front of you is not limited to what's on the screen. This is just a gist of where we're starting. So in terms of the community, we've got North Long Beach, Bixby Knolls, and then we'll expand out. Then you'll see adults, retirees. Then we dive into ethnicities, so Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Asian, Pacific Islander. Now, if we are talking about prospective donors, we're looking to identify community members that have donated or sponsored other organizations. That'll create our lookalike audiences, what you see on that 3rd tab. And then we also want to target local residents that are considered to be upper or mid to upper income levels. And we're looking at that particular demographic because they'll have more discretionary funds to be able to donate or lend to the Rancho. Let's jump over to tourists and Rancho enthusiasts. That's a huge group for us. And then, of course, venue seekers. I know, I'm sure you all know Mallory, and she's doing an amazing job as it relates to the weddings. But we're going to be looking to approach those who are looking to hold or host a corporate meeting, an event, a luncheon, etc. And we're looking at the immediate Long Beach area. And then, of course, as you can see, that expansion of 15 to 20 mile radius. Luckily, we're in Southern California and we have so many freeways and byways. And so people are able to access us, which is amazing for us. All right, so the message. What is it that we're going to message? What are we saying? And so we're going to be speaking about, the 3 main categories are daytime visitation, special events, and then the venue itself. So as it relates to daytime visitation, a great day out. We're going to continue to promote education and history. One of the best free things to do in Long Beach, I don't know, I mean, I have a family of 4, and so I'm constantly, as a mom, looking for things to get the kids out that won't necessarily break my bank. And then also piggybacking on mental health, the Rancho was really able to set itself apart because of that mental health element. It allowed for a place of respite for those who've been, stuck in the house. Now they're able to get out and enjoy the outdoors. And then volunteerism, which speaks to all of you tonight. Also special events, you'll see them listed there. We're looking to enhance a cycling initiative or create one, I'm sorry. And so just in my visits to the Rancho, I want to say my first initial visit, and then maybe 2 consecutively afterwards, I would see cyclists, and they would just come up right up to the end of the driveway, kind of look around, and then, go right back. And so we're looking to capture those folks, capture those cyclists, but keep them there, keep them on campus, and then they can leave afterwards. Let me keep going. And then, of course, the Rancho has an event venue. We're available now. It's a great outdoor venue. It's romantic. It's unique and affordable. This also speaks to the how. So we're looking to really embrace organic social media. If you've been paying attention to our social media, you'll see that there's more content related to events that are happening. Also, hidden gems that are on campus. And so you'll see items like birding, our plan of the month mixed in with our events. And then we're also utilizing an editorial calendar. That calendar is going to keep us organized. It's also going to make sure that it ensures that any content or any topics that any of the departments come across and deem social media worthy, that we're speaking about it, that we're sharing it with our followers. And then when it comes to cross-promoted posts, we're looking to do more partnerships with organizations who have interest in the Rancho, organizations who are partnering with the Rancho. I'm not sure if you've seen the WRD events on our social. Well, we've got it to now where we post and WRD is posting or commenting, and then WRD posts, and then we're commenting and sharing. So that's that cross promotion, that partnership. And then organic search. So we're looking to really let me stop. One of my other specialties is SEO, search engine optimization. In order to ensure that when someone Googles, let's say, historical landmark or hidden gem or beautiful gardens, that Rancho Los Cerritos is at the top of that list. Well, we achieve that by creating more content, enhancing our SEO, enhancing our search engine optimization. Our plan is to do so via an editorial calendar, which will keep us all organized, but then also the content that we publish on our website, as well as blog content. And the blog contents will be items such as the plan of the month, the history of the Morton Bay Fig. We'll do features like a day out, a picnic in a beautiful location, various items such as that, so that when people, the more content that we publish on topics such as that, the more SEO will drive the Rancho to the top of Google's list. I'm probably speaking a foreign language, but I promise you it works. If you all have topics or items that you think would make great content for articles or even social media posts, by all means, plug it into the chat, or you can reach out to me after this conversation, this presentation. Let me keep going. Email. Hopefully many of you have seen our newsletter. They go out monthly. It's just added content that it aggregates everything that the Rancho has going on for the month. Sometimes I want to say for January, we did speak to the volunteer event next month. And so if there are key items or large events that are happening, we'll be sure to promote more than just 1 month. But essentially that newsletter keeps everyone abreast of what we have going on. We have our neighborhood letters. So any kind of correspondences that need to go out related to our immediate neighbors. And then our membership. We're looking to enhance that. We're looking to refresh and then enhance that program. All right. So when it comes to PR, you'll see that middle one is create cohesiveness. We want to tell the Rancho story, and we want everyone to know about it. We've got some incredibly fantastic things going on site, but we need to be able to message it correctly so that it gets in the right people's hands, so that they're writing the content and then it gets published for millions to see. So in PR, we are building our list. Our list of contacts, I'm sorry. So that's writers, as well as editors, digital influencers who can spread our messaging. We're creating a cohesive, oh, yikes. We're creating a cohesive messaging. And then we are looking at our CTAs. And so CTAs are call to actions. And any piece of content that goes out, whether it be social media, whether it be content in our newsletters, whenever there's a piece that comes out of the Rancho, we want to make sure that that CTA or that call to action brings people right back to take action on site. Let me break that down. If someone sees one of our blog articles or our social media posts, and we're talking about an incredible bird sighting, we want to make sure that we're offering a call to action to force people to take action, to force people, oh, okay, they had this fantastic bird on site. They're going to read our CTA, and that CTA is going to say, come visit the Rancho. So we want everyone to be intrigued by our content, but then also know how to take action, what they can do to experience more. And so finally, we're going to talk about analytics. I won't dive too deep into it. I'm sure that's probably the boring part. Really quickly, though, we'll be utilizing Google Analytics. And so utilizing something like that will allow us to know who's coming to our site, what type of content they're interested in. And again, allows us to know what pages are working for us. Don't worry about, oh, and then let's talk about the in-person surveys and visitation. We're tracking those numbers, and we're trying to make sure that we identify how people are hearing about RLC. And so as we're looking to expand our reach, we need to understand what we've got going on currently. And so my job right now is just to really dive into all of the numbers. I'll be working with Laura on that. All of our visitation numbers, even our volunteer numbers, because we want to make sure that we increase volunteerism, but that we also increase visitation. We want more and more people to come. And so it'll be my job to dive in and understand how people are hearing about us and what we can do to improve our message and our outreach. Gonna go really quickly. I feel like I'm going over time. And so finally, as it relates to partnerships and outreach, we're looking to better solidify our relationship with LBSD. We currently have a strong relationship. We just want, as these organizations are coming out of COVID, just remind them, hey, we're here. We've got all this awesome stuff going on, and we love to partner. And so you'll see who I've listed here. Immediate focus would be those middle and elementary schools, PTAs, and student organizations. Longer term, we've got high school and after school programs. And then, of course, our relationship with LBCC as well as CSULB. I've got city organizations here, our nonprofits. Many of you know the work that Arts Council for Long Beach has done with the Rancho. We just honored them at the previous gala earlier I'm sorry, it's no longer 2022, is it? So last year. And then our community groups. Again, you'll see that mention of cycling clubs again, Rotary of Long Beach. We're going to dive into those local businesses, coffee shops, independent stores, and then local city events. We're going to start tabling events again. And so those will be great opportunities to further spread our message and remind the community that we're here, we're accessible, and we'd love to see them. So with that, let me stop my screen share. And thank you all again for allowing, oh, there we go. Thank you so much for allowing me to have some time to chat with you. Again, if there are any questions or anything that you think would be of help to me in marketing and just really furthering the message of Rancho Los Cerritos, furthering visitation, anything that might be cool to see, whether it be photos or blog articles, maybe I haven't even thought of. I'd love to hear from you. At some point, I'll be meeting you all, I'm sure. I'm on site. And I'll be on site more often, especially with the rain. that I think is stopped for the week, but we'll see. Otherwise, thank you so much, everyone. And I can't wait to see you all. Do I need to turn it over? I'm sorry.
I'll take it from there. Thank you very much, Lauren. And I would like to share with you some upcoming volunteer activities we have. First will be our next month. We'll have our in-person gathering, and we'll be featuring Jean and Barbara Bixby Smith Blackwell, sharing their memories of before the Rancho was a museum and the early days of the Rancho as a museum as they remember it. So that'll be in person in the sun porch, the typical brown bag venue where you bring your dinner and the Rancho provides dessert and beverages. And then shortly after that, in the spring, we are having a couple of trade-offs with different museums. On the 27th of February, the Gamble House docents are going to be coming and visiting us. So I am going to be calling on our docents to offer them tours. And then they have invited us to come to the Gamble House. And that is going to be in March, on March 7th. It's a Tuesday. We couldn't do it on a Monday, which would have not conflicted with gardening because they're not open on Monday. So Tuesday was the best option that we had. That will be in the morning. And they will give us personalized tours of the Gamble House, which if you're not familiar, I am familiar with it just by name. I have never been there, so I am very excited. And it's a green and green house in Pasadena that is, I'm sure, very beautiful, and I can't wait to see it. So look for more information on how to sign up for that. And I want to say all these things I am organizing with your volunteer council. I'm not going to name them because I might forget somebody, but hopefully you are all getting emails from your volunteer council members, keeping you abreast of all these things. And I thank them for helping me plan these things, and they have come up with all kinds of wonderful ideas for what we're going to be doing. You all, some of you will remember when we went to the Banning Museum back in the old days. I believe it was back in 2018 or 2019. And the week that we closed down was the week they were supposed to come and visit us. So finally, we are going to reciprocate that wonderful visit where they gave us tours of the Banning House and then hosted us for an incredible potluck luncheon. So we are going to return that favor. We tentatively have a date set for the second half of March. I haven't heard from them for sure, but it's going to be on a Friday, probably the 24th. Hopefully that will be nailed down very soon. And what else? We have the Volunteer Appreciation Dinner coming up in April. It'll be during Volunteer Appreciation Week again, and we're going to stick with our Tuesday tradition for that. And so that date will be April 18th. So I'm giving you lots of warning. Don't go on vacation because I want to have you all there so we can honor you, present you with the bling that you burned, and of course, honor our Sarah Bixby Smith Award winner, who, well, I can't tell you who that is yet because we don't know yet, but we will soon. And you all be hearing about that when the time comes for that. So I've told you about quite a few things coming up in the near future. Our plan is to each quarter have at least 2 volunteer gatherings, either one in person and one virtual. So the field trip is going to count for March. And, oh, another important thing, February 4th, we're having a new volunteer opportunity open house. So if you know anybody that you think might be a good volunteer, please let them know and have them come. And it's a Saturday at 11 o'clock. And we'll have a nice presentation about all the ways they can volunteer and hopefully get some more volunteers going, because we're always needing more wonderful people like you to share the Rancho with lots of people, especially because I want to tell you that the first weekend of the month of the year, guess who gave the most tours? Me, because we didn't have enough docents. So we're working on that. So I think that's all I have for plans coming up. The Volunteer Council and I, we do have some plans for more meetings, but they haven't been solidified, but we'll let you know as soon as we know the details. And we're now going to have questions and answers for Allison. I have been informed that the chat doesn't seem to be working, but the Q&A does seem to be working. We are getting questions in. So I will turn it over to Allison now for that.
Allison, I think we have questions from Laura Breen and Jackie Thatcher. I'll allow Laura to talk first. Breen.
Can you hear me?
We can. Laura, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't have a question. What made you think I did?
Your hand was up. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Sorry, no, I didn't. Thanks.
All right. If anyone does have a question, we're happy to either unmute you or you can put it, as Laura said, in the Q&A. I'll take this moment to thank our incredible 47 volunteers, I think it was, who helped with our holiday programs. I hear that they logged as a group 948 hours decorating the house and learning their writing and learning their lines, creating costumes, all sorts of wonderful things. We had hundreds of people visit us during public hours, hundreds during our after-hour holiday tour, and then for some special events. So an incredible December at the Rancho. So well supported in these events by the Port of Long Beach, as well as the Arts Council of Long Beach, the Rancho staff, as I mentioned, the Rancho volunteers and the Rancho board. Next year, we're actually going to do holiday programming as well, but probably reviving our family festival that we haven't had since before the pandemic.
Okay, great. Hey, John, you mentioned you'd love to help out with elementary outreach. Can you explain a little bit more so I can make sure you're in the right, you and I are having the right conversation?
Yeah, anything that I can do to help within the elementary schools here, because, you know, I have my grandchildren are all in the Long Beach Unified School District, you know, anywhere from 3rd grade to 7th grade now. And it's interesting because my step grandchildren are from Mexico and they have absolutely no idea about the history of Southern California. And so I would love to be able to help with that, because I think it's important that, you know, everybody understands where we come from. When I lived in Massachusetts, I mean, everything revolved around the history of, you know, the revolution, but people don't understand how much history there is here, and we don't teach it as much as we should. So anything I can do to help that, I would love to do.
Great. No, thank you, John. That is the type of stuff we love to hear. Thank you. I wrote a note here in my booklet to follow up with, and I know when you volunteer, so. Anyone else? We have all kinds of opportunities. If there's anyone that wants to help out with our diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, we'd love to hear from you. We hope we get people that will, come to the reinvigorated volunteer curatorial work days. And anyone that wants to help out with any of these planning efforts that we're doing, it's.
Yeah, I'll get them in a second. We're almost done.
Love to have you. Well, I guess we did such a great job that we've stunned them all, so. Look forward to seeing everyone, and I think, Laura, you were gonna open it up.
Yes, I think we'll open it up to our volunteer check-ins. So give us a minute and we will promote you to panelist so that we can see you and hear you. Well, it looks like we still have a few people that are, for some reason, unpromotable.
I was wondering if I could ask a question before. I couldn't
Yes.
exactly do it through the other venue. I posed a question about the recent newsletter that said that RLC was the first home in Long Beach. And from tours that we participated in at Rancho Los Alamitos, it seemed to me that they said that their original adobe rooms there predate our adobe. And so I was wondering what the reasoning was that we were claiming to be the earliest home in Long Beach.
Quick response.
We have always said we're one of the earliest, if not the earliest home. So if that isn't the case, that's something we need to know. But that has been one of the comments we've been saying since, predates me, that we're the first home of Long Beach. So if that's
Well,
something
on
we
their
could look into.
website, they say that they're not sure when their home was established, but it was between 1800 and 1832. It predated when the Nieto heirs were finally granted the title to when they separated the ranchos. So I knew that we were one of the earliest, but I think we might want to check into that if we're claiming to be the oldest.
I think maybe it was inadvertently, maybe that one of got left out.
Okay.
It's worth looking
Basically,
into,
you
Leslie.
forget
I
about
mean,
the Tongva, their homes were here first. So I mean,
Well,
if you really wanna
yeah,
go
that's why I
back-
was wondering what the, it's like the reasoning of we say that we're the first. And I think maybe would be good to have that in there, we're the first.
Western traditional home.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, yeah. Anyway, to think about.
no, it's an excellent point, Leslie. And that is an example of how as we get into this we're getting into this DEIA work. All of what most of us kind of assume are things we say, we need to be re-looking at so we can adjust those. I think sometimes we say it so much that we don't even know we say it anymore. So we need to relook at all of that language. So that's an excellent point to bring up. So thank you for that.
Any other questions before we move on to checking in?
No, Marcia had a question. Marcia, did your question get answered? You asked something?
Yeah, Lauren, answered it, but,
Okay,
it needs a little bit more deep answer, but I can talk to her later about it, because she's just talking about, ADA, compliance. I'm saying a lot of places are ADA compliant, but they're not welcoming because you can just go there, but it doesn't include you in it. And so I would like to have it be more inclusive. And we used to get a lot of deaf people, the groups that would come, but we didn't do anything to help do things with sign language to them, or we didn't help them with any way the Braille would be able to have anything to read or know. So I'm thinking that would be ideal, because people in all those organizations and groups are looking to go places. And then when somebody says, oh, why don't we go to the gardens because we can smell, because people that are visually impaired, and then they say, oh, but they don't want us there. And I hear that and I say, who said that? I want to know. So then I say, you don't have to go inside the house if you don't want, but they can do it. I've done tours for people that are totally blind there lots of times. So, then they'll say something like they don't allow the guide dog to come. And I say, and where did you hear that? So I think it's important that we look at all that as well. So I'm just saying, those are things that we didn't think, and I think more about it now since I am visually impaired. But before, I used to think that, we used to have every Wednesday a group come from the hospital that half of them were doing the sign language. And so I just think it's a thing to do and even senior citizens, we might need something a little more cater them now that I notice. But I do know that the museums that are offering a bus to pick up a group from like Leisure World or something, boy, those jump on right away, because that's the main thing is they can't get there. So those are just things I'm thinking if you really want to be inclusive with everything.
no, another excellent point. So thank you. And Lauren, do you have your hand up?
Yeah, really quickly. Thank you first off for further explaining what you were speaking to. Secondly, I think right off the bat, we can start by adding a blog article to the website, but then also furthering what we're doing on social. Even if you can't necessarily read it, maybe it's an audio video that's able to play so you can hear it. And then we'll work with what we can do, for those who aren't able to hear. But I love that point. Thank you so much for raising that.
There's partnerships you could do, like Ira, looking for historic places to open up to them. So then they get publicity, but they're also doing in return, they're letting everybody have and you don't have to do all that work to make it audio accessible.
Sure.
But,
No, it's those partnerships that we were speaking to earlier in that marketing plan. That's what we're looking to do.
And I didn't hear, did you say that we're still doing living history? Because that I noticed is what some people come for, but people say now they don't have living history at the Rancho, and I'm thinking, I haven't been there for a while, but I thought they still did. But is it still part of it or no?
People haven't been doing living history, but they could, but most people have chose not to in the new way we are seeing the Rancho. But people could start doing living history again, and I would be happy to work with them to make that happen.
All right, Laura, those are the two questions. So I think we addressed those.
All right. So it's January. So guess what the prompt is going to be? Resolutions and goals for the new year. You just gotta do it. Well, so I don't do resolutions, although I did make a resolution about 12 years ago, which was not to complain about my aching old body. So that's my resolution every year, that because I remember I spent a summer with my grandmother when I was a teenager, And all she ever talked about was all her aches and pains. I was like, boy, is that boring. So that's my resolution. And my goal is to walk without a limp. So that's mine. And I am going to pass it off to Melinda. I think she might have a similar goal. You're on mute. There
Yay.
you go.
Yeah, to just accept the fact that I got a problem and I will have a boot on for another 6 weeks. And that's life.
All right. Who would you like to pass?
Not very extensive.
Okay. Who would you like to pass it to?
Megan.
Thank you. Well, my husband and I are celebrating our 30th wedding anniversary in June, and we are going, thank you. We are going on a big trip, one of a bigger trip than I've ever been on. And it's a cruise, and there's excursions that are like hiking up and down. And while I walk 4 to 5 miles a day, because I have a very active dog, I walk flat. And I realized over the holidays that I need to increase that verticality, if that's even a word. So my resolution, my goal is to get into that kind of shape so that I'm not left behind on all these fun adventures.
Cruise to where?
We're going to Norway.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's see, Tom, what about you? Resolution or a goal for the coming year?
Mute. There we go. I don't usually do resolutions. I keep active, and that's one of my daily 5 miles a day resolution that I always do. And if I, even at 10 o'clock at night, if I haven't finished it, I'm out there walking. And so that's a resolution, but also to continue enjoying the rancho and all the guests that come. That's one of my best feelings. And so I'll make that a resolution as well. So I think I'll pass mine off to, how about John?
You still there, John?
Go right next door to John, since he's not yet picking it up. And how about Lauren?
I wasn't. Did you say you said Laura? Okay, good. I was making sure I didn't see another Laura. So my I would say my first would be to be more present. I tend to be head down, working. So just to, raise my head up sometimes and smell the roses. And then my goal is to really crush it on my Peloton. I just got a bike, and so just trying to be more active. I have a 2-year-old, so you'd think I'd be active enough, but I think I have a little bit more energy to burn. So those are mine. And I'll throw it over to Carlos.
All right, thank you, Lauren. I have 2 resolutions. One is the typical one of getting into a diet and losing some weight. And I'm actually started my diet last week, and I will be dieting for the next 3 months, slowly but surely. And but the most important one probably is sharing more with others. I have reached a point where I feel that going and seeing a beautiful sunset is always an opportunity to share a moment with someone, regardless of who that person is. I want to have more dinners with people I love and meet new people, and just share life more. because I think it's one of the things that makes us human, and there's so much to learn from others as well. And sharing those moments, I think, is something meaningful to me. So I'm gonna pass it to, let's see, Ina.
Okay, it's Ina, actually. I have two things.
Apologies.
Oh, that's okay. One is 23 and 23. And that means 23 minutes a day. I have to be outside in 2023. So it's not like I'm sitting there with a watch and a stopwatch, but it could be walking, it can be sitting and reading a book, it could be looking at sunsets, but it has to be outside. Because I find that if I don't get outside every day, I get a little antsy. So that's one of them. And then the more overarching one, and these aren't necessarily original ideas, but I picked a theme, a word for my theme of the year, and it's time. And it's because if you think about, that's what I chose. I have people choose all kinds of words, but it's time to do this. We're short of time. Life is just about the time that you get. So I'm going to use that as my theme for the year and really be conscious of time so that I use it wisely. And I'm going to pick Jackie. You knew that.
So, like many, I don't do resolutions, I do goals. And I think that's from being in a corporate world for so long. You set up your goals. And I have a couple of them that I've procrastinated in my past about, but it wasn't set as a goal, was organizing my digital library. I have pictures everywhere. I still even have printed pictures of the kids. I just want to organize their life. I have a 1-year-old granddaughter, and all of a sudden I have all of these pictures, and I don't even have my children's pictures organized when they were that age. So that is something that I'm going to work on throughout the year. And actually, I like what Tom said. I think that as we, just to be continually educating myself on the Rancho, because again, I love history. I didn't have a chance to do it in my corporate world. And it's just so fascinating, and continuing that. And I'm excited about the school programs and being able to introduce Rancho and, as John said, the history of Southern California with the children that live in the area. So I'm going to move to Joy. Are you still on?
Yes, you called on Joy. Thank you. Well, I don't write down resolutions, but I do plan to spend more time at the Rancho. I've missed it. I guess I should call on someone else. Oh, how about Joyce and Martin?
Oh, okay. My goal, I don't do resolutions either. My goal is, as a garden docent, is to learn more about the plants. If you go on a tour with me, I always have a notebook that has schematics about where the plants are and detailed descriptions. So hopefully I'll learn those by memory versus having to flip through pages. So that's one of my goals. The other goal is to spend more time with family. Martin?
I'm just hopeful. I'm glad that we're not remodeling our house anymore. And mostly I'm hoping to be a little less stressed all year. So it's not much of a goal, but it's a reality nonetheless. Marcia.
Well, my goal is to get off of these rectangles, even though they saved me for the last 3 years, and be live in places. The hardest part is getting the transportations, but that's my main goal, to do that and to live. I've always said for years I want to live to 100 as if I'm 20. So that's what I still want to do. And let me think, how do I know who already went or who's there? Tell me someone who's there and I'll pick them. Or whoever hasn't been there, put your thing in a hand up and then I know who to pick.
And Wesley and Ron and Allison.
Allison, I
Not
didn't
sure if
hear.
John's-
Okay, I'll pick Allison because I haven't I heard her tonight talking, but I haven't seen her except at the thing you got me to, whatever you call that Christmas party or holiday party thing. So Allison, go ahead and tell us. You told us things for the you told us for the Rancho, but tell us personally at your resolutions.
For me personally, I've always done New Year's resolutions. However, in 2020, I made them March resolutions. And in March 2020, I started my weight loss, and now we're in 23. I've lost 22 pounds. And so my new March resolution coming up in a couple months is to maintain that 22-pound weight loss. And to maintain, not a size 12, but a 10 and 11. So that's my super personal one. And I am also trying as much as I can to go paper free. It is not as easy as I thought, but I'm really making a concentrated effort. I didn't even order any paper calendars this year, so I am really working on it. So those are my personal resolutions. They kick off in March. I've already started them, but those are mine. So, all right, Leslie.
Ron and I don't do resolutions anymore, and I think it's because over the years all they succeeded in doing was making me feel guilty about what I said I was going to do and then I didn't do. But it's been nice to hear such different things, and I do kind of like the March idea. So one thing that we have, it's not a goal, it's not a resolution, it's a kind of a little percolating fun dream. We have a friend who's is kind of rediscovering her family in Galicia in Spain, and her family there owns a very small vineyard, and there's an adjoining vineyard for sale, and Alejandra's brother is kind of interested in buying it. So Ron and I said, well, we'll be partners. We want to join in, we want to have a vineyard that we can come and visit when we go to Spain. So our goal is to make the vineyard in Galicia come true.
That is a goal.
A very exciting one.
Ronaldo.
So I think we covered everyone. Is Chaim there? Did Chaim want to share a goal or resolution?
Chaim says he doesn't do resolutions.
But I'll try to be active more and enjoy life.
Always a good one.
I do have to say this, Megan, if you're going to Norway, we've done a cruise there. It's wonderful. And we're also celebrating our 30th anniversary this year.
Awesome.
And we have friends in Greece who live on the island of Naxos. We celebrated our 20th anniversary with them on Naxos, and they have just invited us to come and celebrate our 30th on Naxos, and we're thinking about it.
Don't take too long. That's great, Joy. Do it. Do it.
I really want to.
And let's talk.
Yes, we'll talk.
Don't think about it. Just do it.
The only thing that worries me is the flight and the airports and possible resurgence of COVID. That's what's making us a little nervous, but I'm hoping we're going to do it.
Exciting.
Thank you.
All right. I think we covered everything and everybody's goals and resolutions. And so I just want to remind you of volunteer opportunities. There's gardening in the mornings on Tuesday, garden crafts on the first Fridays in the morning. We always need more public hours volunteers. So any of you that would want to help us, you don't have to be a docent. I'm always looking for more people, because when we're open for self-guided tours, we have to have people to help guide people around and provide security for the rancho. We need storytime readers Tuesday morning and bilingual storytime readers. We have a bilingual storytime this Saturday and we don't have a storyteller. So anybody who is bilingual, we're looking for somebody to fill that spot. So I think that's it. And thank you all for coming tonight. And we'll see you soon at our favorite rancho. Good night.
Everybody's waving. Be well, everybody.